I'm Matt Whiting. I teach here at USC. I teach video game programming courses at ITP and also the AGP class for CS. Before becoming a full-time teacher, I started off as a development, a programmer for video game development. I've been doing that for a long time now. Done many games you may be familiar with. Some of you may know Spyro the Dragon. Worked on the original Spyro games, and then after leaving there and doing a few other things, I became a contractor, and now I'm a video game contractor. I still do that. I dabble. I work for other companies now who are making their games, and I help them, with optimization or porting to different platforms, that kind of thing. And most recently, I've been working on a game called Maquette, which is being made by Graceful Decay, and their publisher is Annapurna Interactive. Right, well, there's two ways of looking at it. In terms of gameplay, the game itself is unique in that it's got this recursive way of looking at models of the world. You're in a world, and there's a model of your world in your world. And so you can pick up the model and move it around, and then the full-size object in the world you're walking around moves with it. So like the first puzzle will involve a giant brick that is in the model. You're looking at the model of the world, and it looks exactly like the world around you, and then you pick it up and you move it to another location, and then you look behind you and you see the giant brick has moved. And then if you look out beyond that, you see there's another layer beyond that. And then if you get down real close, you can see there's a little mini one inside as well. So that's the game, is that there's a mini version of your world that you can manipulate. And then that causes the full-size object in your world to change as well. And then it can get kind of funny when you pick the mini object up from the mini world and drop it into your world. Of course, the same thing has to happen in the mini world. And so a teeny weeny object appears in the model world, in the maquette world. So now you have a teeny weeny little object and a small object, and then out in the larger world is the regular size object. So you can do that to change the scale of objects by moving them from one world to the next. And then you can move things around in the world to solve puzzles. It's a very puzzly, cerebral type of gameplay. And then the other way of looking at it is, what is this game about? Is while you're doing all of this, focusing on puzzles, there is a story that is unfolding before you. And it's actually pretty fantastic. It's the story opens with the narrator reflecting on their relationship with the other character. There's two characters that are voice acted in the game, and it's reflecting on their relationship, how they met, how they developed their relationship, and ultimately where it went after that. And the voice acting, the voice acting for this thing is truly phenomenal, as is the writing. I've had the benefit of being on the game while it was in development, and so I got to see the early iterations of the script and hear the early versions of the voice acting, which always has been good. But as it's developed during the course of development, the story has just become really wonderful. And the voice acting, when our final voice actors, who are Bryce Howard and Seth Gable, came in, and if you don't know them, go Google it, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I know them. How'd you get them for a video game, right? And so, yeah, they're really fantastic, and they have great chemistry. So when you hear them saying the lines, reading the story. I find it really moving, even though I've heard this thing so many times in bug testing. It still, moves me when I hear them telling their story. Annapurna found Graceful Decay, who had this demo level. They had the beginnings of a game, and approached them. And as a publisher, they're able to fund the continuing development and allow the team to really put in the kind of effort that they want to make it like a really polished commercial product. And so they do that. And I've worked with Annapurna before on several titles before. I worked with them on something called Gora Goa and Kentucky Route Zero, if you guys know that. And here at USC, one of our favorites is Outer Wilds, which Annapurna did, and I got to work with them on that as well. So I do a lot of work with Annapurna. They bring me in to just bring some experience to a team that is in like their last year or about that amount of time. Last year, maybe the last 6 months of their development. To what I bring is I have a lot of experience with the game consoles like PlayStations. And so a team will have been developing on PC for for maybe a year, maybe more than 1 year, maybe many years in the Kentucky Route Zero case. And they just want to bring it to the console machines. And when they've been working on PC for many years, they may not have a ton of experience with the obnoxious nuances of the various consoles. And so I can come in and help with that, just bringing some expertise on what quirks those machines have to help the teams get there. Or sometimes I'll do just like performance analysis, performance improvement. Games running a little slower than we need it to be. We just need somebody, we need another programmer because we're all busy, right? That's a big part of it, is the teams at that point are, fully working on finishing their product, finishing that game. And maybe they just need one more person for a few months to come in and make it run a little faster or something like that. So I'll pitch in there. The most obvious thing is the controls, right? I always have a controller here. Like that is different. There's an Xbox controller. Here's a PlayStation controller over here. That is different from, from this, right? So some teams have completely focused on mouse and keyboard and haven't really imagined what their game will do when you do not have a mouse and you do not have a keyboard. That comes up from time to time. Other teams have already fully handled the support for the controllers. So that's less of an issue, but the controllers remain unique on each console. It's one of the things the console makers do on purpose to try to differentiate themselves. So, like the PlayStation has this weird light on the back that nobody else has. And they have rumble, they have vibration controls that usually are unique from platform to platform. The button layouts at this point are fairly uniform, which is convenient. But this thing on the PlayStation 4 was unique. Most teams just don't want to use it, right? Just want to turn that off. But so that's a thing. But what also, I guess maybe if you can see it, there's a speaker in here as well. This is unique to the PlayStation control, is that you can actually play sounds from the controller. And because those things are unique, they wouldn't have already set that up. So either they might say, can you come help us set that up? We'd really like to use that feature. And the other thing that goes with that is Sony might say, we'd really like you to use that feature. In which case, Yeah, okay. If Sony's asking for it, we're doing it. So that's one of the things that comes up. Another one is the game just loads differently. That's a big part of it, is that you don't, well, you do have a hard drive, but you really don't want to load off the hard drive. It's not as fast on the old PlayStation 4 as it would be on a PC. Now on a PlayStation 5, of course, I don't know if you know that, it's got the super fast SSD hard drive now. So that thing will be really fast. But that was one of the considerations we had to worry about on the older platforms, on PlayStation 4 and on Switch, that loading data took longer than it would on a typical PC. And so that meant things like loading and saving assets and loading and saving save games runs a little differently. And that's a big part of it as well. Just saving your game remains unique on every platform. Currently, it's on PC, you just do whatever you want to do, right? You just save a file, right? You have access to the hard drive and you save files. On the consoles, you do not have that kind of access. And each platform has a very unique approach to how that works. So that's one of the things we have to deal with. And they all have rules. This is the thing that does not come with a PC development, that does come with consoles, is the company that makes that console, be it Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony, they have rules that they expect you to follow. Your save icon must exist. It must be these dimensions in this format, that kind of thing, so that they get the consumer a unified experience, so that the consumer knows how it works, and it will work. The game will not crash if I do some bizarre thing. And so that's a big part of it. It's just going through all the unique requirements for each platform. Really, I think the biggest thing is the story. For me, the story is very moving, and I hope they get a really good experience from that. You know, it's an emotional story, and it's a story about growth and development, and I think we can. It's one of these games. Annapurna does a lot of these. It's one of these games that really is a piece of art. It is. I mean, it's like a piece of literature or a piece of film, where some of them are just pure entertainment, and others of them really do have something deeper in them, and I find that in this. So I think I'd like to see players respond, and I do think players and critics are going to find it moving like I did, and say back to us that, yeah, I really do think I learned a little something about myself by experiencing this thing. There's definitely that. Other things I think players will get from it is it's one of these puzzle games, and some of the puzzles are puzzling, right? They're very puzzling, and I think that what people are going to do is go online and discuss, and they're going to talk about, how did you solve that puzzle, right? I got stuck on this part. What did you do? Oh, I tried this. Did you try that? Oh, yeah, okay, I'll try that. And people will have conversations with strangers and with friends online about this game and their experiences with the game. And I think that's really the exciting part about it. Is some people, you know, get really excited about solving the puzzle themselves, but for me, I think it's solving a puzzle like in a group is more fun. And we've seen it, you know, for years. Of course, people will go online and discuss how to do that. When does the game come out? The official announcement, I believe, said March 2nd, which at time of recording is like next week, I think.